It's bad. It's really bad. This is not good at all. Hey everyone, my name is Gavin, and today we are going to be reviewing the most recent Eminem album that came out last year of 2020, Music to Be Murdered By. Now, going into this, I was actually very intrigued to see what Eminem was going to do with this, because this is based on Alfred Hitchcock's Music to Be Murdered By, non-shockingly. So, and Alfred Hitchcock is like the king of suspense in film history. So I was very interested, to say the least, because I love Alfred Hitchcock. He's made classics, and is Eminem going to go in a more horror type route and maybe make something interesting or revolutionary, kind of combining horror and rap into this interesting formula, something which is like, okay, I've never seen that before. Maybe you'll surprise me, Eminem. Maybe you will. And I will say, shockingly enough, though, that has very little to do with this album. Unfortunately, I was kind of hoping it would have a lot to do with this album, but I did listen to the song of Godzilla, so I was kind of interested because I really love that song. But I wasn't a big fan of this album at all. I know some people just think it's okay, but I thought it was terrible. I think this album's terrible, and I'm kind of surprised that on Metacritic, for a bit, it was rated as the highest hip-hop album. Like, come on. Are you kidding me? There are so many better albums out there. Maybe I haven't listened to a ton of albums fully, but the albums I've been listening to recently and fully, this is probably the worst album I've listened to, but I still gotta expand a bit more of my taste of albums overall instead of just listening to individual songs. So, yeah, without further ado, with all that out of the way, let's get into the actual review of the album. Now, I'm not gonna say that I completely hated every single itty-bitty thing in this entire album, because there are good things. First off, Godzilla bangs. It's honestly, it's on my playlist. It's one of my favorite Eminem songs I've listened to. It's good. It's modern day Eminem done right, for the most part, in my opinion. The production's very good. Juice WRLD's hook, it's great. It all just works really nicely, and it's probably the biggest hit on that entire album, for a good reason, because it's the best, pretty easily, in my opinion, if I'm being honest. But yeah, and I will say there are some that I do like Leaving Heaven is a pretty good one, actually. That I will say the hook that's done on that one is also very nice. I will say, I'll say that much. Like Skylar Grey, I think that's her name. She does the hook. She does a great job with that hook, and I will say Eminem kind of does a pretty good job at being somewhat emotional, somewhat vulnerable, different than I've seen that you normally see in Eminem. But I will say this choppy flow that he kind of uses in this song kind of ruins the track for me a bit. I will admit that fully. But I will say not everyone is terrible. The I Will song was kind of fun. It was entertaining. It wasn't anything brilliant, but it worked. Little Engine was fine. I guess Marsh is decent, I will say that. The sad part is it's probably in my top 5 tracks for the album, and it's not even that great. It's decent. It's a solid one. But it's not like I hated like I've said before, I don't hate the entire album. It's just, these are ones I like. These are songs I enjoy. This is me being positive. But if I'm being honest, besides that there isn't really much positive to discuss here. Eminem has disgusting hooks on this. Like, Little Engine is pretty forgettable, but the annoying hook that's in this one, it baffles me. It baffles me. Farewell is kind of a perfect example of saying Eminem should never sing, ever. The only time I've ever heard Eminem sing where it was good was on Cleaning Out My Closet. Maybe I need to listen to more Eminem, but that's the only example I've ever heard Eminem sing where it's good. He also sings on Never Love Again. It's also it's also not very good. Most of these hooks are trash. Stepdad, I hate my stepdad. Like, I don't mind the idea of Eminem talking about his abusive relationship with his stepdad, but he goes over it so lightly. It's kind of just it's sad. It really is, because Eminem could have made deep dived and could have made something interesting, compelling, and there's an idea there that could have worked. But Eminem just kind of falls flat on it, and at the end, it kind of feels pretty radio friendly, if I'm being honest, for a song about the subject matter it's about. It's pretty radio friendly, and it just felt like that's what he was kind of going for. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it just was a rushed project, but this could have been so much better than it was. It just didn't dive into any of the subject matter that was trying to go for. Yeah, yeah is another perfect example with the terrible hook. Yeah, 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 yeah. Like, come on. There's features that, like, they sing, the hooks are done by other people. Most of them are, actually. Ed Sheeran did one of the hooks. I'm not saying Ed Sheeran is always terrible. I haven't heard that many songs from him, but Castle in the Hills, phenomenal song. That's a great song. I want more of that, Ed Sheeran. This is more like Shape of You, Ed Sheeran, which isn't very good. Yeah, you can see what I mean. I'm not saying all the features are bad. Juice WRLD has a great feature. Skylar Grey, like I said before, she has a really great feature. I need to check out more of her stuff, because that was great on there, honestly. And it's hard to say. Young M.A.'s feature on Accommodating was just bland. It's like the first, it's one of the first introductions in. It's the introduction to the song too, and it felt bland. It wasn't interesting in the slightest bit. I don't know who a lot of the people that are featured on here are, but I will say that there's ones I definitely am considering checking out, and ones I'm definitely not considering checking out. No Regrets, Don Toliver does a pretty good job at singing the hook. On that one, I will give Don Toliver that much. He does a pretty good job. I will say that much. He does a very good job on that song. Yeah, that's honestly all I gotta really say for the hooks. Let's talk about the production. But the production on here, for the most part, is not good. Now, I'm not going to say it's all bad. Godzilla, it bangs. It's very good. It's very to the point. It doesn't overtake Eminem or anyone else. But it's... The rest is just bad. The rest is really just terrible. Stepdad has so much going on. What happened? Like, Stepdad has so much stuff crammed in together that it's impossible to know. Really, it's just disgusting. It's disgusting to listen to, and it's part of what kind of ruins that track, if I'm being honest. Also, Yaya has like this feels to be like an old school production that really feels just cheap. It doesn't feel like it's being old school or interesting. It just feels cheap. It just does feel cheap. I will say, though, I do remember the production on Leaving Heaven being very good, actually. I like the production on that one. It does that very well, actually. It does. But You Go and Learn feels very overproduced with the instrumentals. It just seems like a mess. Eminem is so drained out at the beginning of his verse. Like, it's like you can't even hear what he's saying. Like, yeah, it feels like a lot of those are like that, where the production is just, there's so much going on, and it feels so disgustingly mixed, and it kind of takes away from any substance on any of the records. Also, Eminem uses his staccato flows every single time for many tracks. But why do you have to use these flows? He uses it on Little Engine, and many other flows. Even the ones where he's trying to be vulnerable and trying to talk about his relationship issues, he still uses the same staccato flows at points, and they don't sound good. They sound so choppy, which I know is the intention. That doesn't mean they sound good. That doesn't mean that they do sound good. They sound annoying, and it really just... I just don't like them. I really don't at all. He even kind of used this on Leaving Heaven, I think, a couple times, and it doesn't work there. It doesn't work. Please, Eminem, please stop using your choppy flows, or at least use them wherein it's fine to use them. Please. Please. It's hard to really say. This album, the thing is, there's not really much of a direction towards what it's trying to do. I never felt like there was much of a full direction. There was a full ambition of what he was trying to do, because it's so messy with what it's trying to say that I just don't know what it's going for. Is it trying to be this horror sort of horror album with the whole Alfred Hitchcock skits that happen in it? Is it trying to be a hype Eminem album? Is it trying to be like a really entertaining one, just a fun one? Is it trying to relive Eminem's glory days? Is it trying to be an album about relationship issues? I have no idea, because there's no consistent writing to what it's trying to go for. There's just no consistency at all in this entire album, and I just felt like I just kind of wanted it to be over halfway through, because I gave up on it. I gave up on liking it. It's not like I didn't try to give it a chance. I did, but there just wasn't much to enjoy throughout it. I will say, though, I don't completely hate it. There are some features I like. There's some I really don't like. There's some production that's nice. There's some that isn't. In a way, it's almost a mixed bag, but definitely more negatives than positives. I will give this a 3 out of 10. This was really bad. This was really bad, actually. So, those are my thoughts on Music to Be Murdered By. My next plan is to do a Kanye discography ranked. Hopefully, I'll get to that eventually. I fully listened to Graduation. There's College Dropout, and a lot of other ones. So, I'll get to that. I will try to rank Kanye West's entire discography, and we'll see how that goes. So, that's going to be it for the video, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye.